So first, welcome. Thanks for joining us today for our Flywheel Application Information session. I am Becca Freemuth, the Director of Entrepreneurship at NCW Tech Alliance. We are a nonprofit organization that is the host of the Flywheel Investment Conference. We also have our 2026 fund manager, Brian Eastman, on the call today. So he is here to help answer any questions that you might have. We're going to walk through a number of questions that you might be asking. We're going to start with what is Flywheel, who should apply, what you could win, and what the process is. Then we're going to spend some time looking at some of the questions, and I will show you how to access the application and share some important tips for filling that out. We will have time at the end of the session for you to ask any questions that you might have about the application or the process or the conference in general. So Flywheel is an annual conference hosted in Wenatchee, Washington every spring. We've been hosting this conference since 2018, and since then we've invested over $1.65 million in startups who compete during that conference. Through live pitches and meaningful networking and collaborative investing, Flywheel helps founders gain visibility and access to capital while giving investors a front row seat to Washington's most promising startups. At the heart of Flywheel is the pitch competition, which we're talking about today. And this is where early stage companies step onto the stage. They're going to share their vision and they're competing for that investment award. Every year, startups tell us that the entire Flywheel experience has supported the growth of their business. Sarah Dillingham, CEO and co-founder of Grace Enable, pitched last year at Flywheel and said that she was very grateful for the opportunity to pitch on stage and all the due diligence conversations and pitch coaching that she had. She said it helped them level up their business in terms of fundraising, readiness, and strategic vision. So, who should apply to compete at Flywheel? So, Flywheel is open to any venture scale startup across all industries. Our investors do tend to invest in companies that are located in Washington state or are currently doing business within the state or have the potential to benefit Washington's economy. Startups should not have raised more than $2 million, but grants and non-diluted funding don't count towards that total. Founders and team members need to be available for virtual interviews and due diligence conversations with our investors in April and May. And the finalists need to be able to attend the conference in person on May 20th and 21st when the live pitching happens. There are no fees to apply and compete at any stage of the process. So Flywheel provides startups with visibility, resources, and valuable connections. The top 6 finalists will compete live for the $150,000 plus investment award. There's also an opportunity to get a $50,000 relocation offer and a $5,000 audience favorite cash prize. As I mentioned earlier, there are many benefits to applying and attending the conference, even if you're not competing for that investment award. There will be opportunities for applicants to engage with investors throughout the entire conference, and we are planning to incorporate a couple more pitch opportunities for companies that apply. All of the companies that submit a completed application do receive 50% off conference tickets and recognition in our event materials. So the process is a couple steps. We use the online platform called Gust from gust.com to host our competition application. So you'll need to create a free account in order to fill out that application. I will walk through the actual application in a couple minutes, but for now, just realize that we really want you to focus on telling your story. You're going to have opportunities to share what makes your company unique and investment ready. Make sure you submit your application by 11:59 p.m. on Saturday, January 31st, or by Saturday, January 31st. And in February and March, our investors will be reviewing all of those applications to evaluate the investment readiness of all the companies. And then based on this review, finalists will be selected and notified by mid-April if they have been um, selected as a finalist to compete at Flywheel. In April and May, those finalists will participate in those virtual interviews and due diligence meetings with our investors, all in order to prepare for the conference itself and potential investment. Finalists will pitch live on stage during the conference on May 20th and 21st, and winners will be announced live during the awards party on May 21st. So you walk away from the conference knowing if you received investment. So we're going to dive into that application, but a quick preview of some of the questions that we ask in that application. We're going to go through some of those. And just keep in mind that many of these questions are designed to be answered in a few sentences. We're not expecting essays from you. We really just want to get a really good idea of what your business is doing and any of that traction you might have. So some of those questions include, what does your company do and what problems are you solving? What makes your solution different or better? What makes your team uniquely ready to achieve your business goals? Why is your company uniquely attractive to angel investors? How would you utilize an investment from Flywheel Angels to move your company forward? Who are your customers and what traction have you demonstrated? Why is now the right time for your company to grow? And what is your plan to grow or go to market? How are you integrating or exploring AI tools to strengthen your product, improve efficiency, or scale your business? We're going to ask for some financials. We'll ask questions about cash on hand, burn rate, runway, your revenue and expenditures from the last year, and expected revenue and expenditures for this year, and any milestones you might have regarding your financials. We also ask for you to submit a pitch deck, as well as a 2-minute quick pitch video and a cap table. You'll see through some of these questions, maybe you noticed this, but I didn't mention it earlier. You can be at any stage in your company process and apply. So you could still be developing your prototype. Your prototype could be ready. Maybe you already have customers. Our angels like to see any of that. So don't be concerned about what stage your company is in. There's opportunity to explain where you're at in your company in the application. So with that, I'm going to dive into the actual application just to show you what it looks like and provide a couple tips that might be helpful in your process. So the quickest way to get to the application is to actually go to our website. So that's flywheelconference.com. From the homepage, you're going to click on our Compete tab and just scroll down a little bit and you'll see Apply to Compete. When you click that button, it will take you directly to gus.com to our application kind of homepage on gus.com. From here, there's some information, but all of this information is also available on that apply page on our website. And you're going to want to click on apply by January 31st. From here, you do have to create a free account with Gust. So this is going to ask you to create that account, or if you already have a Gust account, you can click sign in right here. I'm going to go ahead and just create a quick account so you can see that simple process. It does ask if you have any more of these, if you have any of these relationships. I'm just going to click none of the above. It'll ask you for your startup's name. Is your startup incorporated? How far along? This is where you can kind of indicate how far along your product is, your company is, and then it'll also ask you for your startup location. Then you'll, of course, provide an email address and a password. And then check that you're not a robot, and you'll click sign up. And we'll let it do its thing. It will ask if you want, you do need to approve to their terms of service, so we'll go ahead and accept that. And then it will take you directly to the application from there. So now we are in the Flywheel Conference Fund application. So What you're seeing here is there's kind of one main navigation. It's over here on the left side. These are different tabs that include different questions by category. So you're going to want to make sure you go through all of these tabs. It gives you a great little recap right here, and make sure you go through all of those and answer those questions. On the right side of the screen is where the actual questions are. This is where you fill in your information. You can see here that there's a couple different types of question formats. So we've got kind of the fill in, we've got some drop downs, and then we also have most of our questions are required in this application. You can see that through the little asterisk. Again, though, we are looking for not essays. So some of these more detailed questions down here that we reviewed earlier, we provide some examples of what we're really looking for when we ask that question. And then again, we're looking for a paragraph. We're not looking for anything too detailed. We also have some attachments, supplemental attachments that we need you to include. I mentioned this earlier. So here's where you will attach that PDF pitch deck. You will also attach your current cap table. We get this question a lot from some early stage companies that don't actually have it. The founder might be the only owner in the company still, and that's fine. So our investors just want to see it could be a simple PDF Word doc that says founder owns 100% of that company. They just want to be able to see what the current cap table looks like. The video pitch is a little different, so I wanted to spend some time on that. So on the video pitch tab, it does explain it here, but you will not be uploading your actual video file to the Gust application. You will need to click on this Dropbox link directly here in the application, and when you click on that, it will take you to Dropbox.com, and we've set up a separate portal for you to securely upload your video pitch. So you will just want to make sure you come in here. You can add your files. It's a very simple process, but don't forget that step of the process because for your application to be considered complete, we do need the video. So make sure you get it submitted through Dropbox by that same time, 11:59 p.m. on January 31st. Gust allows you to save any progress you've made and finish it later. So to do that, you just click on this Finish Later button. That button is available on every single tab. So once you click that button, it will take you back to just your Gust dashboard. And this is where you will come back and you're able to click right back in here by clicking Apply by January 31st, and you'll be able to pick up where you left off. So that is it in a nutshell. We do have some time to answer any questions about the process, the application, the conference. And like I said earlier, we will be uploading this recording to our website. So you are welcome to rewatch it, share it with a friend. And then you can also reach out to me directly at the email address listed on this slide. And I'm happy to answer any direct questions too that might come up at a later date. So with that, I'm happy to open it up to the group. And again, we do have our fund manager on the call, so he is more than happy to answer some questions as well.
I have a question around the prize. The 150,000 you had mentioned as an investment. So it sounds like it's an investment. What are the terms of the investment?
Uh, yeah, Brian, do you want to go ahead and answer that?
Yeah, so they're somewhat flexible. We're trying to align with, your stage, other fundraising that you may be doing, and things like that. So it'll be somewhat negotiable. We're typically looking for either a convertible note or, sometimes a safe. Very few of the companies that are at this stage are already corporations and, offering preferred shares, but that would be acceptable if somebody were at that stage. And we're going to work with you. If you're in a raising round and you've got terms, we're going to see if they're in alignment with what we're doing, as part of our diligence. And then we'll hammer that out with you. We're going to be looking at valuations collectively and, setting the equity share. There's not like a lot of, incubators are like, whatever amount we're investing, we're getting 7% of your business. There's nothing that's locked in like that. Our goal is, these are often early stage companies. We want to see you get to that next stage, get to where you're raising your Series A. And obviously, the amount of capital, the amount of other resources in terms of guidance and whatnot that comes in, and then also positioning so that you can still raise money, are all important factors that go into our consideration.
Yeah, many of
Right.
our past winners have come to us. They're already in a current round, so that's part of, like Brian said, part of that due diligence process. Our investors are looking at that current round, and oftentimes they'll just invest within those current terms, but that's not a requirement. I'm going to answer a couple questions in the chat to make sure
Thank
that
you.
people in the recording get the answers. Someone asked verticals that investors are actively seeking. I'll let Brian answer this too, but from my experience on the more admin side of the fund, it kind of depends on our angels who are investing in the fund that year. Some years we've had a lot of people who are super interested in med tech, and so we saw a couple more med tech companies on stage that year. It really just kind of depends. And so that's where we highly encourage all verticals, all industries to apply um, and and see it if the investors are interested in it. But Brian, do you have anything to add there from the investor side?
No, not really. I mean, we've certainly seen from all different sectors in the past, and I've been involved for a couple of years and seen what's come through the pipeline. There's not like we're saying, oh, we're definitely going to focus on this in our thesis. We're definitely going to avoid that. As Becca said, some of it does have to do a little bit with the comfort level and expertise of the people we get participating in the fund in any given year can sort of trended in a certain direction, but there's no hard around what we're looking for. What we're really looking for is something that has the potential to scale and it's got a good leadership team and looks like a good opportunity. There's sort of add-on bonus points if there's some positive nexus for rural communities or North Central Washington, but that's again not a deciding make or break factor. It's just bonus points.
All right. Great question. Next is, can I take my video pitch with my cell phone, or is a required professional video a requirement? The answer is it can be from your phone, it can be from your computer. We are not requiring you to go hire a video production company to do this. It is really just our investors want to see, are you able to communicate clearly about your startup and your vision? And it's 2 minutes, so it's quick. And so we don't expect anything fancy from this. Brian, any thoughts you have on what you've seen in the past?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, one of the things that just we're all human. Somebody does a good job presenting, they're going to rise to the top, right? I mean, a big piece of running and growing a business is being able to sell yourself and your business. But that comes more from your communication style than the video production. The only audience for this is our fund selection community. We're looking to just, we're going to be looking at a large number of companies. We want sort of quick hits. What's going to help us narrow down who are those really top potentials that we're going to want to take a much closer look at. Don't overthink this. We're trying to get from, based on past years, 70, 80 down to the top 20 that we really want to look closer at. If you're going to make our top six, and you're going to be presenting on stage, then yeah, now we're going to start talking about, presentation quality matters. But for this initial, just who am I? Focus on telling your story effectively.
I'll also mention too that we've had several winners, investment winners, who had never competed or pitched on stage before. Flywheel was their first investment conference. So don't let maybe this being your first foray into investment conferences scare you. Many of our winners, that has been their journey, and it was through this process and that hands-on engagement with our investors once you get to that finalist level that have really provided a lot of support to them. Jason, you had asked how many businesses typically apply. I think you asked that right before Brian mentioned that we typically see about 70 or 80 applications. from across Washington and surrounding areas. And like I mentioned in our presentation, our investors are interested in if your company happens to be based in Oregon, but you have a strong customer base or potential customer base located in Wenatchee or in Washington. That does not mean that you're excluded automatically. If we've raised $125,000 to date, but end up raising more than $2 million by the time we present in May, are we out of the running? That's a really great question because we all know in the startup world, things happen in the blink of an eye and things are always changing.
It would kind of depend on the situation, but my gut feel tells me, hey, you're maybe starting, a funding round. You don't know where it's going to land. If that round, like say you were doing a $2.5 million round, right? And we're going to be able to participate in that round, we'd probably look at that. And if everything else was good, that wouldn't be a roadblock. If you ended up closing around in April and now we'd be coming in at some, side arrangement that doesn't align with, our goals or where you were, that might not be. And, what'll happen is we'll get to it's mid-April when we select our top six. I'll be reaching out to those top six. And one of the things we'll look is, are you still really in the right, is it right for you to be one of those top six on the stage? If your situation has changed dramatically, we might, say, hey, you should still come, but we're gonna maybe put somebody else on that stage if the alignment isn't there. But that'd be, collaborative two-way conversation, and it's pretty rare that we've ever had anybody get to that point and say, "Oops, this doesn't work anymore." But hey, like Becca said, it's fast changing. Things happen. It's part of venture capital and angel investing. It is what it is, and founding.
Yeah. Jack's question is, what are the details around the relocation prize? That's a great question too. So we offer a unique relocation prize for to support your company relocating or opening up kind of a extra
Location.
office. I'm just blanking on what that term is called. There's a term for it. Um, and that's specifically for Chelan and Douglas counties. And it supports anything from rent to supplies to there's a whole list of them. So if that's something of interest, that's a question in our application is that something you're interested in learning more about? And we, of course, provide more information on those details for those who are interested.
Yeah. And I would just add it's a reimbursement. So if your relocation costs were 30 grand, you get 30 grand, but it's up to 50,000 of reimbursable costs. And we're typically going to offer that to the winner. And sometimes they may pass, and there may be an opportunity for one of the other top six to take a look at that. It varies from year to year.
Awesome. All right. Well, if that's it, that's all we had planned for today. So we hope to see your applications come through. If not, if you decide that it's not the right opportunity for you, we hope to at least see you at the conference in May, get to meet you, get to help you build some of those important connections that you'll need in your startup journey. So with that, I think we'll call it a day.